Welcome to Must In-Laws Be Outlaws, the podcast that proves not every in-law story has to end in drama.
We didn't always get along. In fact, there were times we could barely understand each other.
Now we're best friends.
Join mother-in-law Lucette Bloomgarden
and daughter-in-law Cathy as we laugh, learn, and
talk
honestly about relationships, family, conflict, connection, and everything in between. Because sometimes the people who challenge us most
Can
also teach us the most. We should do a joke.
Okay.
One of the things that we do on every episode, because we want it to always be fun, is we start with a joke. And we have one right now. The husband says, "My mother-in-law never taught my wife to shave her legs without getting cut. She didn't raise her right, bum."
I think we need better jokes. But that is the whole point of the podcast, is there are a lot of jokes about the in-laws. And we are here to distill relationships down to the hopeful truth that you can too be friends with anyone in your life that you might even have a conflict with. We are the living proof that it's possible.
It's true. It actually is true. Those of you who've tuned in before, I'm sure, are well aware of our stories and the fact that it's not that we didn't get along, we didn't connect. I think that's more accurate, don't you?
It's true. Yeah. And, look, I think it's still a work in progress, but now there's just so much love.
Oh, and now it's a period in our lives when both of us really enjoy being with each other better than a lot of other people.
It's true.
So, Cathy, let's do what's on your mind. What's on your mind?
So I thank you for asking. I was just at a movie recently called, oh my gosh, why did I just blank out the name of the movie? Anyway.
It'll come to you.
It'll come to me. Oh, perimenopause. It'll come to me. The movie was called Influenced, and it was a movie with Jill Kargman, who wrote it, or most of it, and it was directed by Rachel Israel. And the movie is a New York City, specific scene where they're looking at people who are always on Instagram and kind of making fun of the Upper East Side of New York City, maybe a persona. But one line really stood out, and I have to ask you this. So there was a new term going around that says all the ladies on the Upper East Side are thirsty for attention. And I thought that was really interesting because, first of all, as it relates to mother and daughter-in-laws, mothers and daughters-in-law, I'm wondering, is that really the issue? Is we want, when you enter into the relationship, are we so seeking attention? We're so excited to be accepted or desperate for acceptance that is what some of the conflict comes from.
I think that's a very good question. And my response is sort of. It's not only that. The truth of the matter is, yes, we do all of us want attention. But I think it's a little more. I was thinking about it a lot the other day. And I was thinking that mothers-in-law go from being the mother, and I use the in capital letters, to being also the mother. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're kind of not brushed to the side exactly, but a little bit.
But you're almost, I hate to use the term, but you're generally like the second mother, not the first, not the primary. And that takes getting used to. You know it intellectually, but you don't know it emotionally. And so when you feel that you're sort of snubbed or pushed away as the mother-in-law, it hurts. And I think the daughter-in-law is the same, especially if the mother-in-law has daughters. That can make a very big difference. Do you agree?
Yeah. I mean, I just love the fact that, just like the movie Influence, where Jill Kargman is such an authentic person, even though she's playing a caricature of herself. I love that we're able to have these authentic conversations.
Right.
And I think that's my favorite thing about doing this podcast, is our goal is to give people information that makes their life better and help them, lead them on a path back to authenticity or hope or resonance of love, which is what we found.
We got an email from somebody in Abu Dhabi, believe it or not. And he said, I really love your podcast. And the reason, he said, he went on to tell us, I love your podcast because the two of you are so real. You're so authentic. I'm not quite sure how to take that, but
I think I take it as a compliment.
I agree.
But you know who else is real? Our guest.
I'm very anxious to meet her.
So our guest is a good friend of mine. Her name is Macha Einbender, and she has been like a ray of sunshine just in my life for the past 10 years. She's also a mom, and she's an amazing human, but she's a certified family and systemic constellation facilitator. I'm going to say that again. She's a certified family and systemic constellation facilitator. She's a breathwork teacher. She's a student of human connection, healing and unseen family dynamics. She's a Reiki master. Maybe she's a closet comedian. I'm not sure. She's pretty funny in my book. And I'm really excited to talk with her today because she is has a wonderful experience with families and their unseen relationship problems, or even solutions, actually. So, Macha, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. So nice to see you. So nice to meet you, Lucette. This is such a privilege. Thank you.
And welcome, really. And I saw your vision on the screen. I didn't know it was you. And I went, oh, I want to look like her. So, you look gorgeous.
But thank you so much.
I have a question for you. You have a very fancy title. Can you distill it down for me so we all understand what a certified family and systemic constellation facilitator is?
It's a mouthful. So basically what it is a few years back, I kind of have to give a backstory to it, but a few years back, I discovered something called family constellations. And I mean, a long time ago, like 16 years ago, pretty much. And I loved it. And it just really like something inside me, my whole body, I got goosebumps. And my mother was always very spiritual, and I called her up. She was living in Florida at the time. And I said, you have to come and try this. It's amazing. And you're going to love this modality. It's great. And my mom absolutely fell in love. And then she became a trained, certified family constellation and systemic facilitator. And what we do is, it's called being a facilitator because we actually bridge. We're not healers. We're not teachers. We're not therapists. We bridge the gap between what is unseen and what is seen in family dynamics. So they're always, and in systems, because we do businesses as well. So what we do is, it's very experiential. So it's difficult to describe, but Cathy has experienced it. And what the goal of it is to restore order, balance, and love within any kind of dynamic. Whether it be business, whether it be relationship, what have you.
Sounds so that's what wonderful. I do. It sounds wonderful.
And I can jump in just to give you like a 30-second experience of what I experienced. It's basically a role play where you have a few people in a room and you get to kind of really be, in the middle of a scenario, and you get to play a part in whatever that scenario is. And by some ability that the trainers, the facilitators have, it really does unlock something in our memories or even in our bodies that we just might haven't unconsciously been carrying around. And my good friend and sister-in-law actually described it like this. She's like, people understand that if you have blue eyes, that's a genetic trait. You've inherited that from your father's father, your father's father before him, and your mother. They both have to have a certain genetic trait that's been inherited. So we also inherit, I hold the possibility, we also inherit generic patterns of energy. And these energetic patterns are not generic actually, but they're energetic patterns. Just like we inherit blue eyes or brown eyes, we also can inherit patterns, energetic patterns from our ancestors.
Absolutely. I like that. I think I'm going to take that. I'll transcribe that afterwards. And then when anyone asks me what I do, I'm going to just say that. So that's perfect.
Have you ever done any of these exercises with Macha?
Yes, lots. I mean, at least 5, maybe even more.
Yes. It's I think we've done them together as well. And I mean, I've witnessed so many of them, and I'm blown away. I mean, I was in one last night on Zoom. My mother's in Florida, so I went in on Zoom on her. We did a hybrid sort of thing. And I'm always blown away from everything that occurs. You see people just like light up, and all of a sudden, I mean, I call it like 7 years of therapy in like, one session.
So that leads me to my first question about how the audience can tap into this stuff. So when families are fighting on the surface, what unseen dynamics are often happening underneath? Do you have any insight in that, or what could you tell us?
Well, it's always there's always something beneath the surface, and it goes back to that thing. We're never angry for the reason that we think. And when there is family tension and issues and just, stuff that comes up, sometimes it's just inherited. It's like even the relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. It's like genetically or systemically proven over the years that it is a difficult relationship. And, people think it's a difficult relationship. So then we buy into that. And then maybe, in terms of what I do, maybe there is a loyalty that you have to your mother, or whatever that is, and loyalties that we have, hidden loyalties that come up and that bubbling beneath the surface, and they show up with family tension. So even that relationship, when we start off that relationship with mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, it's already been like kind of in our system for it to be somewhat difficult or challenging. It doesn't have to be.
It's almost like a genetic component that's passed down through the ages, which is sad to say. But your training and your background most probably can help us break these habits and break these patterns. Have you had success doing that?
So to be completely candid, I mean, I have a relationship with my mother-in-law, and it's pretty good currently, right now, poo. It was not always like this. I've known my mother-in-law. I have a lot of warmth towards her because I've known my mother-in-law since I was a little girl, since I was 5 years old. Wow. Because I've known my husband since I was 5. And we've had our ups and downs over the years. And I think it was back to what you were saying about this lack of connection. We weren't able to really connect. And I think that as I've matured and gotten older and more understanding of what I'm doing here with the family systems, I understand that both of us were just trying to belong, and belonging is longing to be. And I think that each of us was just like kind of lost in how we can find that connection together. And just as a funny thing is that we just spent Mother's Day together. It was my mother-in-law, my husband, myself, and my mom. And the four of us, because my son was working and my daughter was studying, we played canasta, the four of us. And it was just such a beautiful way for us to come together. And, so just to answer your question, I think what I do and the things that I've learned over the years is to drop the struggle. We all just want to be loved. We all just want to be seen, and we all just want to belong. So what you were saying before about being thirsty, yes, like we are, it's not even a thirst for attention. It's a thirst to be loved. It's a thirst to belong.
What about managing expectations?
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
that could be a very important thing. How would you advise?
I'm guilty of having very high expectations of how I like other people to react. And I've been a brat a lot of times over the years because of that. So I recognize my role in the interaction, and I'm very happy to say that in this specific time, I really have a lot of fondness and love and admiration for my mother-in-law.
May I ask you how long you've been married?
I've been married since 2002, so almost 24 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you've known your husband since you were 5. That's incredible. Yeah. That's a
Yes.
Did you like your in-laws before you and your husband really got together?
I did. I thought they were weird, but I liked them. You know, they have a my father-in-law passed away unfortunately a couple of years ago, and he was amazing, you know, just such a great man. Um, but they were both super into each other, and they had this very intense relationship, the two of them. Like they were best friends. They were, you know, and like they were the two most important people to each other. And so I admired that relationship that they had. And, but, you know, my mother-in-law can be kind of, she admits it herself, like she can be kind of quirky and funny, and she's an acquired taste. I mean, she says all of this herself, you know. So but yes, did I like them? I did like them.
And I think that one of the things I love most about you is as much like we both are on the path to grow. Like we're just always looking to grow. Like give us knowledge, give us wisdom. We're looking to grow. And I love that. I think
Totally.
that's important.
Well, actually, what you're saying is almost like my motto. I get very, very disturbed when I hear people in my age bracket say, I am who I am and I'm not going to change. I think the bottom line for all human beings is growth. You can grow and change and evolve, and it's never, ever too late. So the fact that both of you are doing it is remarkable, and I hope we can pass this along to younger people and as well as older people.
And I think that actually really leads into the next question, which is that sometimes it's scary to grow. So what do you think, what role does fear play in family conflict? Masha, what do you think? What role does fear play?
Oh my God. I mean, fear is like the ultimate disguise of everything, right?
Ah,
Like sadness,
well
grief,
said.
I mean, right? So like whenever we're all just fearful children, you like, you know, one of the things that I always found is like when I feel fear, I will ask myself like, how old am I right now when I feel that? You know, like what's going on in me right now? How old am I? And usually it could be traced back to something that happened to me in childhood or something that happened to me as a young adult. Because fear is such a disguise, you know, like we're just sad, we're just feeling insecure
But
or anxious, you know?
sometimes we don't recognize that we're feeling fear. What would be telltale signs that what's motivating our behavior is truly fear?
Well, usually I could tell when somebody's fearful in a situation is they start to their leg will start to they start to tap, they start to look away, look everywhere but in that person's in your eye basically. But you could just tell they're just when somebody is in fear, when I'm in fear, I know that I'm just like a deer in headlights. You know, like I know that I can't even move. It's palpable. And I know in that moment I have to take a deep breath, you know, which I know sounds trite, but basically like the breath is really all we have to bring us back to the moment. And I do something called the serene mind meditation, where I literally just imagine that there's a tiny flame in the middle of my brain and I breathe out the fear because I know that you can't feel fear and love at the same time.
Well, that's very
So it's like,
true.
got to get yourself back into love.
Kathy, have you been able to identify when you're feeling fear?
Oh, in my body, 1,000%. I can tell you, like, even starting the podcast, I always get a little bit nervous and I can feel the tension. Usually for the podcast, it starts in my throat and it's a little in my heart. But like I notice my breath is more shallow and I can also feel like my shoulders like start to rise. Like I'm like, oh wait, where are my shoulders? And if I can remember to like just let my shoulders fall, and usually that expands my breath, and it does help to release the fear with breath. Like that's usually one of my techniques too. I do it's called soul sync, actually, similar practice where you just
I
really,
do soul.
yeah, I love the soul sync. So I just have all these little tools to help with the fear, but I definitely have fear.
So this is very interesting. What Masha said and what you just said could be clues and tips for all of us as we think about our reactions. And it brings us to one of the cardinal rules.
Well, how do you feel fear? How do you know if you're feeling fear?
I'm not sure I always recognize it.
Huh.
That's why I asked the question. I think a perfect example for me is I think I'm calm when I go to a doctor's office. But apparently I have white coat syndrome and my blood pressure goes way up. Obviously, I'm feeling something. And I'll take deep breaths, and it doesn't help. So there's something going on that I'm not cognizant of. I mean, surely if it's fear like flight or fight response, that I'm aware of. But the subtleties, not always, which is why I ask, because one of the things we all need to do and what we have to garner from this podcast is how to recognize our fears and how to deal with them. Because that's really important. Because if you recognize that you're acting out of fear, your actions will be one way. But if you don't know that, your actions will be another.
Yeah, and that's probably just the lesson in humanity is where we all are.
Yeah, right.
We're all walking each other home. And I don't know, Macha, do you have any, as we start to wrap this up, do you have any kind of tips or tricks for people, not tricks, but tips for people to, I don't know, that might just help them live a better life? What have you learned?
Well, it's funny because when Lucette was talking just now about, even like the white coat syndrome, like in that she starts to get, I would ask myself, like in those kind of situations, like the thing that came immediately to me was, I wonder if there was a scenario where a doctor delivered bad news in her family.
Oh, good
Did somebody,
question.
why is this? Because usually we're so trained to believe that we go to the doctor to find something wrong. But I've always been training myself to believe because I read,
So
you could
you're
heal your life when
saying
I was
it
like 10
may
years old.
stem from a past experience.
From a past experience, because I go to the doctor and I think, let's see how we can make me healthier and better, and like, but my mother is tremendously fearful of doctors, and I have to, I've had to really retrain her to welcome doctors into her life. So I think just to go back to wrap it up is that you start to think and you start to know yourself and you start to recognize yourself and you start to recognize certain patterns that you have. And when you do know yourself, like even when Cathy, when you were describing like when the show is about to start and, you're saying that it could be fear, but I feel that that's your excitement. You're doing something that you really love and that you're excited about it. So, sometimes we have to differentiate what feels like fear or anxiety really is just excitement, being in that moment of like, oh my God, this is like,
So fun.
doing what I love. So I think that my advice to everyone is become an expert of yourself, which I know sounds a little narcissistic, but I don't mean it that way. I mean it to the more you understand yourself and your own reaction, you take responsibility, which is the ability to respond. The more you do that, then you are able to have these very harmonious relationships with other people because you're taking your own responsibility, your own heart, your own soul into the picture as well.
My friend calls it cleaning up your side of the street.
Well, it's
That's
very
a good one.
Thank you so much for joining us. It was just a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Your words of wisdom are resonating in my ears.
Thank you.
I want to reinforce something that Cathy and I have put together over a period of time. They're bullet points that help you. They're tools that can help you in dealing with issues with relationships, not only just your mother-in-law, with any relationships. The first thing, you must start with mutual respect, which means not just respect for the other party, but for yourself as well. Very, very important. So the second part of that is don't act. Hard to do, but you can accomplish it if you practice it. I mean, don't react. I'm sorry. Don't react. Act. Yes, act. Don't react. Respond with clarity, not anger. So your brain has a few minutes to think. You have a few minutes to put it together. And then the third part is think, is this what I really want? Is this result what I'm heading toward? Is it what I really want? And if it's not, and be honest with yourself, if it's not, change it. And then the fourth part of it is, if you've gone ahead and reacted and it hasn't been the way you wanted, don't be afraid to apologize. Repair it.
I think that's big. I think those are tips to live on. And I
would love that sent to me.
Yeah.
To put.
Our pleasure.
Thank you, as a reminder. And,
Thank you.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yes.
Thank you.
I love what.
Last word.
Wait. Say it again.
I have one more thing to say. I just want to say how much I love your chemistry, the two of you together.
Thank you.
And I love what you said about the like always growing, never saying this is who I am. I've heard people say that, and it's one of my biggest pet peeves when people say this is who I am, I'm not going to change. Because I have an 83-year-old mom, and she is constantly changing and growing. You know, we take Kabbalah classes together, and she's always constantly choosing to elevate and to change. And
what beautiful.
I just think it's so important. I'm not who I was yesterday. Every day we grow. So the fact that you said that is so beautiful, and it just makes me so happy that you feel that way. And I really would love for that to grow, for other people to feel that way too.
Me too. From your lips to God's ears. We want this podcast to reach 1 million people by September. So let's just make that happen.
100%.
And who gets the last word?
So we do one last segment, Macha, called Who Gets the Last Word? And this is where we want to hear from our audience, because we basically take the topics of every episode and we reflect back all of the questions that we receive at our email, mustinlawsbeoutlaws@gmail.com. That's mustinlawsbeoutlaws@gmail.com. We are also on Instagram at Must In-Laws Be Outlaws, at TikTok now, new subscriber to TikTok, Must In-Laws Be, because they wouldn't have enough room for outlaws. And we love to hear from you. So you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, everywhere you get a podcast, Apple, all the podcast places. And we want to hear your voice. We do this, just obviously we're having so much fun doing it for ourselves, but really our goal is to give you information that helps your life make it better. So please send us your information. Thank you for listening.
And
follow, like, subscribe.
And don't be afraid to comment, please. It's very helpful. So comment on the podcast, good or bad, whatever you like, whatever you don't like, because that's how we learn. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Macha. And thank you, Cathy.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. Follow, like, and subscribe. See you next time.
Bye.